It's a very broad question. I'm a pediatric haematologist, so I think I don't know where to begin answering that, but I mean, the problem in children is two things really. The one is, infections, and I think people need to be very aware that children with sickle are prone to infections, and if they're ill, then treating infections aggressively at an early stage is, before you know what's going on, is quite important, and that's particularly true in young children. For whatever reasons, haven't been fully vaccinated and aren't taking penicillin prophylaxis. And the children we see in London, say, who die, which is unusual in sickle cell, nearly always it's from infection, and it's nearly always when there's been some failure of care in the sense they haven't received all the vaccinations or they haven't been given antibiotics in the appropriate way. The other thing with children that we worry about, well, there's less of a problem now, is children presenting with neurological complications and stroke. And there's a tendency to use the word crisis in sickle cell, which is kind of meaningful in some ways, but is unhelpful in the medical context, in the sense that children and possibly adults sometimes get admitted and someone says they've got a crisis, and that is taken to encompass something meaningful, and the fact that it's kind of assumed they've got pain and they're treated with opiates, and so the fact that they're paralysed down one side and they've had a stroke kind of gets missed, because there's an idea that they've got a global thing called a crisis, really. So I think one thing I would suggest in terms of looking after patients is to avoid using the word crisis in the medical context, and to be precise about why someone's in hospital. If they're in pain, you should say they're in pain, and if they've got chest problems, they've got chest problems. If they had a stroke, they've had a stroke. And linking those all together as crisis is unhelpful, I think, and sometimes leads to people important complications being missed.